Ah, recording is in progress now. All right, let me just check the sound real quick. Okay, I got sound. I can see your comments, which is great. Because as most of you know, I don't actually like doing these lives and, not hearing, not going back and forth, not seeing your comments. So how do I turn the sound off of this thing? I don't know how to turn the sound off of this thing. I don't want to press mute because then I'm afraid that it will mute me. I don't know if that will mute me. So, all right, I'm excited to be here. This is the Wild Woman Challenge. And I wanted to do this during the summer solstice portal because these amazing portals that we have different, we have obviously new moons and full moons, the solstice, the equinox, then we have some extra special other ones like Lions Gates coming up, 8/8. So we have these different times where there's an influx of spiritual energy. A lot of times it does relate to like solar flares or the magnetic frequency of the earth, right? It's pretty cool when you get into it. So anyway, I wanted to do this challenge, this Wild Woman Challenge during this portal to just amplify our wild womanness. So I'm pretty stoked about it. As most of you know, I'm a divine feminine mentor. So I guide women into their potential as embodied, powerful leaders through awakened sexuality, empowered relationship dynamics, and manifestation. So embracing the divine feminine within you, your sexuality, your primal nature, up-leveling all your relationships, and then creating, manifesting your dreams. I am very passionate about guiding others to connect and free their spirit, which ripples out into all aspects of life. And it really leads to a whole new way of being and perspective. So I'm here to support women planting seeds in the spirit world and then watching them grow in this reality. My method is a fusion of dynamic coaching, energy work, wisdom practices, and consciousness tools, divine guidance, rituals, and of course, sexual liberation. So I'm a way shower, light worker, medicine woman, guide of ascension, whatever words you like. But really I'm here to help this process that we're going through on the planet right now with consciousness awakening and this ascension portal that we are in. We were born in this timeline. And that's kind of what's going on. It's all about the divine feminine rising. And as the feminine frequencies rise and then harmonize with masculine or whatever opposites you like, but that's kind of the theme that we see going on right now, then humanity kind of becomes more woke to peace and love and these things that we love, that we want more of. We want less murdering and wars and famine and destroying of our beautiful planet and more collaborating with our beautiful planet and each other. So it's awesome that divine feminine is rising, right? This is really great, but it's also really challenging. I don't know if some of you saw my email or posts about this, but it can be very challenging to follow your inner divine feminine guidance in public or, out doing things that society would say isn't normal. So whenever you get here, just let me know, put in the chat so that I can see that you're here, because otherwise I might not know. You could just say hi, Neve, or you could do an emoji. That's fine. I just love to know that. And then if you watch this later, do hashtag replay so that I know you watched it later, and then you can also answer the questions. So the first question, because this is not, these lives are about us going back and forth, so please let me know. But the first question I have for you is, well, first, let me know you're here in the chat. But the next one is like, what is so hard about being wild and untamed? Like, what are your personal challenges with this primal embodiment of the divine feminine? You know, when someone says, like, we could take it really far, but like, I don't know who's here and listening and interacting yet. So I'm going to wait and see. But, you know, divine, when you talk about primal, acting primal, and like maybe not so much what society's thinking like is okay, it can be really challenging. Like for me, I still feel the mind layer, or I'll feel the challenge or the waiver, and then I just override it with spirit, because I've been doing this now for a really long time. But like, I remember the first time I put blood on my face. I was like, this is really weird and wild and untamed of me to be doing that. I mean, even having my son at home with no drugs was like a wild thing. Apparently, I had no idea at the time, because that's how that was part of my culture. So I didn't know that was weird. But that's kind of an example. So what's hard about it? Is it that people, is it the judgment of others, you feeling judged, or like you're going to get miss out by things? And this is the interesting part, is if you write down your story about this, if you share it with another woman, like it doesn't have to be me on a call, but it could be you right now in the chat. You can share it in the chat and in the replay, but it's better in real time. But what is your story? Because you can transmute whatever, especially if there's shame, like shame and guilt are really, really great to transmute by sharing them out loud with words to another in a safe container. And then that can change the story. It can change your story and how you relate. So what's the hardest thing about allowing yourself to feel? So this is my second question. I don't know if anyone has answered the first one yet. Yeah. So the second question in the chat is, where did I just put it? Yeah. What's the hardest thing about allowing yourself to feel? I can put that in the chat so that you guys can see it. You ladies. Love it. You know, so if you're just joining, just say hi, Neve, or put an emoji in so I know you're here. And then I'm asking some questions about being wild. And one of them is like, what is hard about being wild and untamed? Like, what is your personal challenge with it? Is it others' judgment? Is it your own judgment? Is it being scared? Like, I want to talk about it, because part of divine feminine rising on the planet is us getting a little bit more wild, a little bit more embodied, a little bit more primal. And that's, you know, not really what society's about still right now. And that can be really intimidating. It can be really intimidating. I'm telling you, when I was on the plane, I sat there for like a couple minutes, and like, you know, the flight attendants were doing the drinks like way on the other end, and I was like kind of near the back, near where there was space for me to dance, and I was like, it's like I gotta go now or I don't go. It was hard to get up and go dance in the back of the plane. I was like, oh, am I gonna get in trouble for this? Or are people gonna be judging me? So for me, it's to answer those questions. Yeah, like what's the hardest thing? It's probably judgment of others, you know, being judged by others. But hi. It's so good to see you. I like the emoji. Yeah, thanks for saying hi. But yeah, so anything coming up for you, Alicia, around like, I mean, I feel like now that I know you're here and you're in the field, now I'm feeling the things, but you need to say, yeah, it's not easy. It's not, I think the hardest thing for allowing myself to feel, that one is better. Like we can move to that one. That one's less personal, that question. I put that question in the chat, but what's the hardest thing about allowing ourselves to feel? So like our whole culture is numbing, right? We drink alcohol, we watch TV, we like watch Netflix, we Like we're eating foods maybe we shouldn't sometimes. Like we're doing all these other things to like numb out how we feel because we weren't really taught how to feel our emotions. So like what's the hardest thing for you personally about allowing yourself to feel emotions? Because for me, when I first was in this space, I felt like if I allowed myself to feel everything, it would be too much. Like I would feel too much, like I would experience too much. It would overwhelm me, or it would never stop, or like it would just like, and these it seems kind of silly saying it now, but those they're real, they were real fears for me. You know, like yeah, like thumbs up. Thanks. Yeah, it wasn't easy. And I think for me, like addiction is like the biggest one because when I was still a smoker, it was like in part because I didn't really want to feel everything, or like I would use excuses like trying to think of what my excuses were, like, oh, I'm stressed. Yeah. So, or I just want to go outside or like, you know, and I didn't want to feel all the things. Really, what at the end of the day, what it was is I didn't want to feel. So there's a tricky thing about this is because if we don't feel it, then we are lying to ourselves and creating a fake life to a degree. That's pretty freaking serious. I don't know if you can tell I'm a little emotional today. I've been emotional the last like 3 days, ever since the new moon. So I apologize if I get a little too emotional to talk. All right, I see someone else is here, so let me know in the chat if you're here. Just say hi, or you can do an emoji. I really appreciate it. So we're talking about right now, why is it hard to feel? Why is it hard to be wild? Besides the obvious of the whole culture says not for women not to be wild. Yes. So that doesn't help. So I got into all of this because of the Goddess book club that I run. We're going through Untamed, which is Glennon Doyle's book about basically her untaming herself and becoming more wild. And I thought it was just perfect alignment with the solstice energy. So we're in the summer solstice portal right now. This is summer. It's like outward, like this is the ovulation of the cyclical lifestyle of the woman, right? Summer, we're ovulating. All summer we're ovulating. Not really, I'm bleeding right now, but you know what I mean? Like that's what it is. It's time to be wild. It's time to be free. It's time to meet up in the woods and dance naked, right? That's kind of like, that's the primal, mystical, soulful remembering of our ancestors and this ancient wisdom is this like, okay, yeah, summer, boom. So how can you honor that? How can you honor the ovulation of the summer of you this summer right now? Like, what can you do? What's like a baby step to untaming yourself or uncaging yourself? My invitation is to feel, is to allow yourself to feel the things that you're avoiding. And again, you probably don't want to put it in the chat because it's so personal, and I get it. I'm a very personal person, so you know, I just share these things. But what are you afraid to feel? You don't have to put that in the chat, but think about it. Like whatever just came to you, that's the thing you need to feel. And you could just say, Neve, like you put in the chat, something did come to me, Neve. You're not crazy, and I'll let myself feel it, or I'm still gonna not feel it, which is fine. There's no judgment. But like, what is it? There's probably something that you know that you're avoiding or numbing. And like, what will happen if you allow yourself to feel it? Besides probably a lot of crying and maybe anger, right? Besides a bunch of emotions, what's really going to happen? You're going to get deeper into the deeper emotion, and then the deeper desire, and then the thing that can help you navigate the life that you really want. It really matters. It really matters to feel. So I wanted to read this part of the book. It's very short, but she said, these are her keys. So my emotions, my intuition, my imagination, my courage, Those are the keys to freedom. Those are who we are. Will we be brave enough to unlock ourselves? And that's what I'm encouraging you to do. Will you be brave enough to unlock yourself? Will you be brave enough to set yourself free? Will we finally step out of the cages and say to ourselves, to our people, and to the world, here I am. Full body chills. Okay. Woo! Was not expecting that. Thanks, Glennon Doyle. Even though you're a blonde white chick, we still love you. Just kidding. Seriously though, like I did get full body chills. Will we uncage ourselves? You know, and it does start with feeling. And I remember with my first Ayurveda yoga mentor, I remember sitting with him and he was like, you have to feel. You have to allow yourself to feel. And I was like, what? He's like, you got to sit in meditation and like feel the emotions. And I think I was jealous about something or some situation. There was jealousy coming up. So I went home and like sat with my jealous feelings. And eventually, after crying and yelling and sitting again in silence, they transmuted. They changed. I didn't feel jealous about that situation anymore. This is the whole beauty of being human, is that we get to feel all these things. We get to feel happy, we get to feel sad, we get to have grief. I've been having lots of grief lately, right? We get to have this whole range, and our acceptance of the range of sensations is harmony. That is us being in harmony with ourselves, is us allowing and valuing all the feels. Right? So today is about feeling. So for the challenge, it is for you, if you probably saw this coming, but the challenge for you today is to allow yourself to feel, specifically if you know there's something that you're avoiding feeling. And then you would just post about it. That's the challenge. But even if you don't want to share your personal details, you could just post, I did the challenge and I felt the things like, and that would be great. Because it encourages others to feel. I mean, yeah, sure. I appreciate it too, but it's because it ripples and it ripples so deeply. Like how much you heal yourself is actually how much you heal the planet and the collective. Like it's not just a fun saying, like it's a real thing. It's really wild. So my emotions, my intuition, my imagination, my courage, those are the keys to freedom. Oof, I love that part. Maybe I'll take a picture of that and just put it in the group so you guys can look at that again with the challenge. Okay, I had another question. I don't remember where it went. Oh, I wanted to share this story. So I went on this sexual shamanic spiritual training adventure in April, right? I learned these emotional releasing techniques, which I think I've shared in some of these lives, but it's basically like throwing a tantrum as an adult. It's like allowing yourself to feel all the things. It's like the hand scream, you just right and cover your mouth and you shake and you scream. I do that one all the time. I knew I was gonna get lipstick on my hands. So like the hand scream, or like literally just like stomping. This one of them is like punching and stomping, like, you know. Anyway, there's all these things. So I'm actually laying in bed with my partner, and we're looking into each other's eyes. You know, seems like it should be a touching moment. We're chatting, you know, and he says, I'm feeling these things about this weekend, and I'm feeling these things, and they are starting to trigger things in me. And I start to crying. And I stand up and I come in here and I start doing my emotional release technique. So I've got the pillow I've got this thing. So I'm pounding it, right? I'm allowing myself to feel. I'm allowing it to move through me. And he literally comes in and is like, stop. So I pound the pillow a little bit more because I got to get that part out of me. Like, motherfucker, tell me to stop, like, right? So then I get that out and I turn to him and I'm like, this is the healthy way for me to feel and move my emotions. Please don't tell me to stop. If you don't want to watch, you can walk away. Because he like followed me. I'm like, don't follow me. But yeah, it's kind of wild. Like, not only do we have to allow ourselves to feel, then we also have to train those in our life to allow ourselves to feel and allow themselves to feel. Like, we are all moving past the emotional intelligence of puberty. Like, puberty is when we suppress emotions. Puberty is when we don't let ourselves feel. Puberty is when we're confused. And somehow humanity got stuck in puberty with emotional intelligence. And so as divine feminine rises, we become more emotionally intelligent, which means we actually act kind of crazy and primal and like shake and feel and let things move through us. And that's we're actually getting more emotionally intelligent. Kind of wild. Anyway, it's a very fascinating journey. I will say that. But that's the challenge, is to feel something, especially if if something will probably come up today or tomorrow anyway, that you can just allow yourself to feel. But if there's something you've been avoiding feeling, like sometimes that happens to me where I'm like, oh, there's that thing over there that I don't really want to feel. So if that's the case, that would be a good thing to use for the challenge. And it's really, it's exciting and it's hard. It's exciting to feel things, and it also does get easier. I will say that it gets a lot easier, and I'm a being of a lot of feelings. I have a lot of feelings and emotions. And it really does. It really has gotten easier and easier the more that I've lived cyclically and honored the womb and allowed myself to scream and do whatever emotional release things that I need to do. So I have a bunch of other stories here, but I don't think I need to necessarily share any of those. I wanted to share the one with my partner because I just thought it was hilarious because I'm like literally doing these emotional release techniques and he's like, stop. And I'm like, no. At least with my son. So I can actually share one more story. So with my son, 8 days ago was like when I was gonna meet up with his dad and his grandpa to trade him, right? So my son goes to be with his dad for the summer. Well, some things happened. Let's just say it that way. The plans got changed. It wasn't really a miscommunication. Plans got changed on me. And I wasn't very happy about it. And my son was there, and I was really getting upset. Like, I was to the point where I was like, I'm gonna have to move this energy. I'm gonna have to feel these things. I'm gonna have to allow myself to feel mad at him for changing plans. I'm gonna have to allow myself for feeling upset that we missed out on doing other things because the plans got changed, or right, all these different things. So I just started pounding the pillow, like doing my pillow pounding, just like, right, pounding the pillow on the bed. And this is the difference between children and adults. You know what my son did? He got a pillow, he put it next to mine, and he was like, oh, yeah. Oh, right. And he just jumped right in with me. Okay. So the adult man, my partner, who couldn't is trained and conditioned by society, was like, oh my gosh, she's feeling the feels, like, stop. Right. But the child who's 8 was like, oh, mommy's feeling the feels, I should do it too. Like, let me feel the feels too. I'm sad that, we didn't get to meet up with daddy right now or whatever. Right. And so I find it really fascinating that it is something that we are learning as adults, but it ripples out. Allowing yourself to feel in front of children is a good thing. Just, use wisdom and discernment with it, which I had to do. with my son, but it's a good thing. So yeah, I wanted to share that because I just think it's very fascinating how like we can adapt so much. We can train ourselves, and the more that we feel and allow things to move through, the more we drop into our real essence, and then we can navigate towards our soul's purpose and like what we really came here to do. Any questions? Double check this chat. Aha! There are chats now. Okay. Yay. I was really wondering. I was like, nobody's saying anything. Okay. Oh, thank you. Yeah, just give me a moment to catch up on these chats. Yeah. Isn't it? That is such a fascinating thing. Oh, I wish this had dinged at me. Something else was dinging at me. It wasn't the chat thread. Oh, I almost watched that Avatar movie actually the other night. That's so funny. Yeah, it's hard for me to get around us to be okay with our feelings. Let me see here. What do you say, Zenka? Even we have had a hard time when our kids have different feelings. Yeah, we talk about this a lot in my Divine Feminine group, like parenting and coaching, and like being with children and then allowing them to have their feeling experience. Really, yeah, we had a couple really good gems on the last call with parenting, but I think one of them is specifically just like allowing them to have their feelings and not trying to fix their feelings. And I think the other one was being vulnerable with them, like sharing, like, I'm having these feelings, which is kind of what I did with my son. I'm like, I'm having these feelings and I want them to move through my body, so I'm gonna hit the pillow. And he was like, okay, me too. Okay. Yeah. It's not the end of the world. I guess not. Yeah. It isn't. I think it's good to like just allowing that feeling, allowing the feel. So thanks for giving me that moment to catch up on the chat. And this is like this type of processing. Like, I know nobody really wanted to answer the questions in the chat, like, what's so hard about being wild and untamed? What are your personal challenges with it? If you have a story and you wanted to share it, we could transmute it together. Those are more like for on a coaching call. And like one of my coaching clients, I can't share the details of her story, but she shared today that she hit like one of her main goals for being in the Divine Feminine initiation. And that just made my heart sing. And I love seeing women step into themselves more deeply. It's just, it goes back and forth, right? Because as you step into yourself more deeply, then I step into myself more deeply, then our sisters and mothers and daughters step into themselves more, right? And it becomes this beautiful transference. So taking a stand for yourself is huge. Like just saying, I'm going to allow myself to feel, acknowledging how you feel. That's another thing we talked about in the Goddess Book Club call Monday, was just like someone saying, wow, I really just need to, when I'm at work or when I'm in social situations, I'm, getting my energies getting mingled with others. And it's like, yeah, just pause and acknowledge how you're actually feeling in the moment. That is taking a stand for yourself. And that is huge, right? And allowing yourself to just acknowledge, oh, wait, I'm feeling something, even if you're not even sure what it is that you're feeling. And it's harder when we're around a lot of people or we're in social situations or we're working, there's, if I'm working on the plane, I can't dance on the plane, right? Like there's certain guidelines with society that we have to follow. So I can't really even explain to you all. I think most of you in this group know how radical it is when you like put energy and momentum and money behind your desires, like how much they improve. But like these types of shifts being able to feel and know and imagine and navigate your life based on your soul's purpose, like this is the time. Consciousness is arising and waking on the planet. And it's happened for me every time that I've invested in myself. Crazy things beyond what I would have been able to create on my own have happened. So for you, if you know you need to embrace your spiritual gifts, like especially like if you're starting to have more dream messages and psychic gifts or guidance and intuition, or if you really know that it's time to embrace divine feminine archetypes and your sexuality and your primal nature, like I would love to have a conversation with you about that. I put the link in the chat, so we can link in the comments. I can put it back in the comments again. But I would love to hold space and share with you on those things, because psychic gifts can be a very lonely journey. And so can be embracing your sexuality, sometimes, especially if you're in relationships that you don't feel like you can like explore your sexuality. And those are things we can navigate. So like I said, I would love to have a heart-to-heart chat if you want to talk about those things. The main two things that I'm doing is the Divine Feminine initiation, which is once a year, and then the Goddess Book Club, which is continuous. So if you wanted any information on those, I would love to share about those. They're pretty great. And then I also have a free sacred sex course going on right now. So if you want that, just send me a private message and I'll send you the link to that. It's going to cost money soon, but right now it's still free. And so I'm just giving it to people to hopefully get some feedback and learn how to make it better. So if any of those things entice you, just send me a message or comment about that. Let me just double check the comments. I don't know why the comments keep disappearing for me. Oh, thank you. That's the link to book a chat. Awesome. I think my VA's here. Sweet. Yes. And you can put in, yeah, there, thank you. Aw. Thanks, Jane. I appreciate that. I didn't even have to do it. Yeah, so that's the foundations for sacred sex. If you want to click on that, you can try it out for free. All right, any questions, closing thoughts? You can see the chat. Zinka, Alicia, thanks for being here. I don't know who else was here. I know Jane was here. Jane, thanks for being here. And yeah, I think that's awesome. So tomorrow we're gonna do no. The theme is no. So today was feeling. Tomorrow is knowing. Yeah, so hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. And tomorrow is the solstice portal. So maybe we'll do some magical things on that call tomorrow. All right, I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. I have too many windows open. Where's the window that ends this thing? Oh, there it is. All right, awesome. All right, bye.